Good morning. My name is Melissa Warren, and I'm going to be talking to y'all today about some motivation strategies that you can use with your students. So, there are 4 areas that we can discuss when talking about motivation. One of those areas is your persona. So, that would be the things that you can do, the things that make you you. So one thing that you can do is be enthusiastic. So that means that whenever you're teaching something, you need to be really excited about the content. You need to show your excitement to your students because if you're excited, then they're going to get excited about learning too. Be personable. So that means that you are going to be a real person. You don't want to be put up on a pedestal and for your students to think that they're so far away from you. If you're personable, then that means that you are able to have a relationship with your students. In regards to that as well, another strategy is to build rapport with your students. So that means that you're going to get to know them, they're going to get to know you, and because of that, you're all going to be able to relate to each other in a better way. Okay, so the next one is you're going to show relevance in the content that you're teaching. So that means that you are going to relate it back to real world situations. That means that the students are going to understand how they're going to be able to apply this knowledge and this understanding that they're learning from you. And the last one for persona, and perhaps my favorite, is use humor when appropriate. I love to laugh and I love to be silly. So I think that this is really important. Showing humor and showing that you like to have a good time. I think that's going to help your students also have a good time. Okay. So the next one is the course. So that is like in the classroom and what you're teaching. Okay. So one way to help your students get motivated with the course is to allow the students to have a voice of the structure in the classroom. So I'm sure many of us have been in a classroom where you come in and it's very structured, you have no voice, you have no say. It's not that great. It's always better if we can come together as a community and as a like mind and make decisions together. I believe that if students have buy-in, then they're going to learn better and they're going to take responsibility for their knowledge. So the next one under course is design the course with care to the students. So that means that you would pay attention to what your students need and you would utilize that. You would help them in whatever way that you can, okay? Build in readings that will change students' beliefs. So this is kind of a challenging one. I think that this one would be like if you have a lot of students that believe one way, go ahead and throw in something completely different just to open up their minds and help them learn something different. One way would be if you have a lot of students who have only read American literature, maybe throw in some Spanish literature, French literature, just something different for them to learn and understand. Okay, another way to motivate your students is to inform students on the career and the course that are available. This is especially important when working with higher education students because they are taking, most of the time, they are taking the classes so that they can learn about something that they're going to use later on. So, and sometimes people take a course and they think, maybe I want to do this for the rest of my life. So, an example of this would be if you were in an English class and it was an English lit class, for example, you would talk about the different careers that a student could have after they major in English Lit. And the last one under course is encourage students to be prepared. So that means come to class prepared. Bring your book, bring your paper, bring your pencil or a pen. Just be ready. Show up on the first day with the book that you need. Come to class ready and prepared to learn, because that's what we're all here for. So the next section of the motivation here is in the teaching. Okay, this is another way that we can inspire our students. So the teaching, I'm going to have 5 examples here too. Help students learn. They can use the previously learned skills in this class and vice versa. So that basically means that if you are taking a Math 101 class, for example, they can use previously learned skills in that class, and then you can also tell them, okay, well, we're going to learn this so that you guys can move on and do the next class as well. Make the activities meaningful to students. I think this kind of goes back to the buy-in thing. If people see that there is a meaning in the work, they definitely want to engage in it and they want to be part of that work. So a way to make the activity meaningful to the students is to create some sort of buy-in again for the student. So instead of saying, research this author and write about that author, you could say, research someone in your family who has done XYZ and do that. That would create that buy-in, and that would make it more meaningful. Maybe they didn't know about their ancestors and now they get to learn about them. Okay, another thing that you can do to create motivation in your students is to use real examples and case studies. Gone are the days where we can create something fake and hope that it inspires our students. Students today want something that they can take and use out in the real world, okay? So we are going to need to use real examples. So if we're talking about a problem-solving idea, then we need to use something that is in real life, something that they can actually look at and then make it better. And this is actually going to help them immensely in their future, because they're going to be able to take these examples and create real life solutions, and then they can do that later on in life as well. It's actually pretty amazing to do that. You're training them for a job they don't even have yet. So another way is to use different presentation methods. This kind of goes back to different learning styles. You definitely want to use different things that interact with video, speech, writing, things like that, just because different people learn differently. So we want to tap into all of that whenever we teach. And the last one under teaching I have here is teach by inquiry when possible. So whenever students have questions, you want to tap into that, because if they're asking questions, they're interested. So if they're interested, then we need to allow that engagement to happen. I believe that that's when the magic happens, whenever we can listen to our students and they start asking questions, and then we can answer those questions together and create a classroom discussion. It's always good whenever you can start the discussion and then the students just take off with it. It's beautiful that way. Talk about community, right? So the last little part that I have here is about assignments, okay? Again, this is all about building motivation in our students. So my first point under assignments is to build up the student's sense of self-efficacy. So that just means that build up their sense of their own belief. Encourage them that they are doing well and that they can do whatever they put their minds to. And this is actually going to help them in the future as well. Self-confidence is something, unfortunately, that isn't well spread out as much as it should be. So that is definitely something that we can help to instill into our students. Give assignments that allow students to reflect on their own progress. I think that is amazing. Much like the class that we are in currently, we have journal entries where we talk about things that are going on, of course, on a topic. And I think that that kind of allows us to discuss where we're at, what we're doing. Journal entries are a great idea, perhaps even just a little blurb at the end of the day. asking them how they enjoyed the day's assignment and just ask for feedback. Give students practice tests. I think that is really important. I don't know about anyone else, but I have high test anxiety. I do not test very well. I might know the information, but I do not test very well because I get really scared and I second guess every answer that I put. So I think with practice tests, that allows the students to kind of become more comfortable and um, make sure that they can understand what's going on the test. And it also helps them to see what is expected of them as well. Focus test on the ideas and the ability of applying the material. Okay, so in the past, I think tests were more focused on the content, the information, whereas in today's society, we can just Google whatever we need. I'm not saying that knowledge is not power anymore, because it is. But if we choose to focus the test on how we're going to use that knowledge, then that is going to be something different, and that is going to be something that really matters, okay? And the last one here is let students assess themselves. This kind of goes back to the journal entry. But if we let students assess themselves, I I think that sometimes we are our own worst critics. So if they can look at themselves and assess where they're at and decide where they're at, then we are teaching them that they have to be accountable for their own actions, and also teaching them a sense of responsibility as well. So all of this will be found in the chart that is attached to this document. And this was taken from our textbook, Nielsen 2010, pages 55 through 57. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I'm currently on vacation, so I've got some kind of crazy frizzy hair, and that's okay. So I just want to say thank you again for watching, and y'all have a wonderful day.